Okay, so I am here with a very special guest. His name has been going around New England for many years. I've never met him in person.
Yes.
But tonight's the first night, and coincidentally, I just bump into him, and we're like, he doesn't know who I am, I didn't know who he was, and it's an amazing story. We're gonna try to make it short and quick because we just ended his first professional boxing show.
Correct.
As a promoter.
Yep.
Here in Boston at the Club Royale, which in my opinion, I got over 30 years in the fight game, is astounding, especially when he told me it's his first boxing match.
Yes.
Man, it was packed.
It was pretty good. So the way I looked at it, what's
Wait,
funny?
I don't
yeah,
mean
go,
to
no,
cut
go,
you
no,
off.
go.
But we have to introduce you. We have to
Yes.
let everyone know who you are.
I'm Mat Nolan of Nolan Brothers Boxing.
Matt Nolan.
One half.
Nolan Brothers.
Yes.
Okay. Now I have to ask you real quick
Yeah.
before we start.
Go.
Are you guys twins?
We are. We're identical twins. So that's why if you ever see Mark with the scally and everything like
Yes.
that, it is a unique look and he likes it, but
Yes.
it's also like a defining factor.
Yes.
Additionally, he always has the beard.
Okay.
He accidentally went down to like a 1 or 0, so
Okay.
that's why he's a little bit more clean shaven.
Because in the ring tonight, right? Coincidentally, I'm working today my
Yes.
first commission job. Bravo.
Yes, well
but
done.
I'm watching these two guys, like one come in, one come out, and I'm looking and I'm saying, who are these guys? They gotta be a manager, or maybe they're the promoters.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait a minute, the guy just left in a suit. Wait, no, another guy's with like a hat and a beard. So I said, they gotta be twins.
Yeah.
I gotta ask that question. So yeah, man, that's cool. You guys are twins.
Yes.
This is your first boxing pro
Yeah,
event.
ever.
You used to do amateur shows as
Yeah.
well.
Yep.
You have a boxing gym.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So you used to fight too.
Yep,
All
just
right.
a very non-impressive amateur career for both of us.
You can argue that.
Yeah.
Because I have a few other guys I know that you know, they kind of.
I don't want to like project and pretend like I'm something I'm not. We both competed in amateur boxing, both novice boxers.
Okay.
We did a lot better on the coaching side and promotional side of things. So.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
My frustration,
Yep.
personally, is the guys that never fought.
Sure, definitely.
And then they become coaches, then they're criticizing.
You have to be able. I personally think if you've never been taped and gauzed and you never fought, I actually think if you never lost too, personally, because that's horrible. If you've never lost, to go through a crowd and have people cheering to get your ass kicked, and then you get your ass kicked, and then you go to work the next day and people say, how do you do? And you go, I got my ass kicked. Like, it sucks, you know? With a bunch of guys that never got their ass kicked, by the way, call you like, certain things, you know? So I think that's important, you know? And again, I only fought as a novice, but I did compete at No Nanta Boxing Club under Mark Gagaro and those guys.
Okay. Pretty high price names there you got.
Yeah, we started at Somerville Boxing Club. My dad was a coach there, and he was on the board of directors throughout the 80s, and my brother and I came up through that club throughout high school, and then we went to college, played in a band. We sucked at that too. And then after that, my father was a coach again at Somerville, but ended up doing some coaching at Boston Sport Boxing at the time.
Okay.
And guys like Nate Busa, Eric Busa, Mark Gagaro, Nico Gagaro, those guys all fought there.
Okay.
Then they kind of did their own thing. My father said, why don't you go to No Nantum? I worked with those guys, and that's where we ended up competing.
Okay.
So,
okay. So you had maybe 5, 10 amateur fights?
Yeah, I had less than 10. Yeah.
A couple bloody noses?
A lot of bloody noses, yeah. So
real deal.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You have to know that.
But what was cool is, Mark Gagaro wiping my bloody nose when I'm fighting in, Trinity High School.
Yep.
But then today I get to shake his hand, take a picture while I'm on the promotional side of things. It's kind of weird, full circle
nice.
stuff. Yeah.
Love it,
yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So you explained a lot, but I can guess, but for people that are gonna watch, like what was your motivation for becoming a promoter?
Sure. That's a great question. So we did the coaching thing. We own the gym. We really are more amateur boxing coaches, we're being honest. We do not have a large professional boxing stable. And yes, we have to flesh it out. But there's steps to it, We have a great amateur program. We did well in the gloves the past few years, but there's levels to it. But from the promotional side of things, and I think you can appreciate this, our interaction has been mixed.
Yeah.
We've fought as coaches in throughout Boston, throughout New England, but also we've competed at Topeka, Kansas, and Lakeland, Florida, and we've had not great interactions. So Mark and I looked at it objectively, and there was a few things we wanted to do. We wanted to have competitive bouts.
Yep.
We wanted to have local guys.
Yep.
And we didn't want to treat people like shit. So
there is a guy.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I know that's like oversimplifying things, but I do mean it. And if you talk to the guys in the car today, I feel like we did a lot of it.
Yeah.
Now we had an amazing main event planned that unfortunately fell through. We had Mat Nolan and Josh Orta for tonight.
Oh.
The event fell through.
Really?
Yesterday it fell through. I don't want to get too many specifics. Josh Orta had an emergency. He had to pull out of the card. But the idea was having a 14-1 Mat Nolan from the Lowell area, a Josh Orta at 11-0. We want to put together a competitive local fight.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yes, no, it's
Everyone
not.
wants to protect their record, but we're coming back August 23rd. We're going to spend money.
Yep.
We're going to come back to Royale, which is a killer venue, a proper venue.
Yes.
And we're going to put together good local fights.
Yes.
And the thing is, when Mark and I put on these amateur shows, which we're doing, we have 7 sanctions pulled just until November.
Wow.
So we're doing the New Englands, we do a Masters tournament, we got another one like in Winchester. They're amateur shows at amateur venues.
Yeah.
So when you go to these amateur venues, it's a gymnasium with the lights on.
Okay.
When you go to a professional venue, it shouldn't be a gymnasium.
That's right.
With the light on.
That's right. I love it.
That's how I feel.
I feel the same way.
So that's what we're trying to do.
I always said, because I've done little amateur, I don't want to say little, but I've done amateur shows.
Sure.
I've done little club shows,
Yep.
right, in the gym. You know how that goes.
Yep.
And my thing was, and I had a dream at one point in time, but my thing was always location,
Yep.
location, location.
Definitely.
Venue.
Yep.
What kind of venue do you have
Yep.
that's going to make people want to spend money to come
100%.
to?
Yep.
But you have your, and I'm not disrespecting anyone
No, it's just
saying this, but when you go to a gymnasium for a professional fight and you're charging $100 or $150 for front row seats, and you're in a gymnasium and it might not be air conditioned, come on.
It just, to me, if it feels like an amateur show and it's a professional event, to me it just doesn't make sense. So with our first event, when we were growing up, my father would take us to see Capiello shows at the Roxy. And we'd see people like you fighting at the Roxy. And that's the reality. And that's when we got our promoter's license, I didn't want to put on events at places we've been putting on events as amateur promoters. That's the reality of it. So the first event we did the Roxy Royale, and we tried to do it right.
It was great. I gotta say, it was great. I had no idea. Now listen, this is the coincidental thing, is I had no idea all of that coming in, right? Being there in the event. I was just here 2 nights ago for the TCM.
Yeah, I was here too, yeah.
It was packed, right? And tonight, it looked like, literally like I had never left.
Yeah.
Right? I said that to a few people, sitting next to me. I said, I felt like I never left. I just saw you yesterday. And they're like, yeah. So, congratulations to you and your brother. You guys are doing a great thing, I'd say. And everything else you specified with treating people like humans.
That's the biggest thing.
That's the reality.
So sometimes we have interactions with promoters and a certain fight doesn't make sense, or you want to, and then the interaction goes sour. And I felt like the dynamic it should never be an us versus you thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not fighting.
Yeah.
Right? It's not, I provide a ring and a venue.
Yeah.
Right? The fighters are the one out there. Right? So there shouldn't really be, if it can be avoided, there shouldn't be a power struggle dynamic.
Sure.
Right? If you want to argue weights and contracts, talk to my brother. He does the numbers. Go nuts.
Sure.
But as far as like anything beyond that, everyone should really, it's a collective.
Sure.
We're on the same team, literally.
Sure.
So I just didn't want that. And I think if you talk to the fighters tonight, I think I know that I love what I saw from the fighters and coaches, and I definitely respect and appreciate everything they did, and I feel like it's mutual.
Yeah. I know a lot of the fighters. I don't know them like too personally, but I know a lot of them. They seemed happy, especially the main event.
Yep.
Vieira.
Yep.
He hasn't fought in a while. I guess he's making a little comeback, and he fought a veteran fighter, Lino Chavez.
Yep.
He got 60 fights.
60 fights.
Right? Like, he's a real veteran, professional fighter.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing in there. And to me, he fought his heart out.
Yep.
the Vieira kid was a little upset. He said, hey, why can't you keep going? But Lino Chavez came to me because I'm in the corner. I was working. I was not working the corner, but I'm in the corner. And he comes over to me because I know him, and he's like, look, I'm 47 years old.
Yeah.
I need a knockout to win.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna knock this kid out. Like, he's too strong.
Yeah.
So.
And Lino retired in the ring tonight.
And he retired.
To me, is like kind of a special thing
great.
too. I was like, this guy, and I've seen Lino fight a million times. He fought everyone. Gambardella, Vendetti. His resume is crazy.
Yes. So I really enjoyed that part of it. And then the other thing I gotta say also personally is watching you get in the ring with these fighters.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell, like usually, especially in this area, you can kind of tell who's like what they say, the A side and the B side. Tonight, you couldn't really see that.
So
I couldn't.
I would say that, like, I'm not gonna. There's no delusion here. I know that a lot of these fights and these fighters know who they are in terms of records, right? But if you went on there, right? If you just open BoxRec, you don't necessarily know who's gonna win, and I think that's missing in locally. I do.
Oh, definitely.
And if you look, we had one guy that was like 0-7 versus another guy that's 0-1, and it was like a majority decision.
Yeah.
Like again, are they gonna sell out Madison Square Garden? No. But you went there and at least you watched the fight and you said, you know what? I don't know who's gonna win tonight.
Yes.
God forbid.
And you got your money's worth.
Seriously.
You wanted your action.
So, and we had a guy that was Kevin Lucky Lewis and Ross Rodriguez.
That's
0-0, 0-1 each.
Yep.
They both got stopped by MMA veterans in their previous bouts, and it was competitive as hell. They fought their asses off.
Great matchup.
So again, I know who we are in terms of we're in our infancy, right?
Yep.
But we put on competitive bouts that when you watch that fight, you didn't know who was going to win for 4 straight rounds.
For sure.
For
sure.
And then conversely, though, we got the Cangalosi kid, that Italian.
Oh.
Well, I don't know what the hell to do with that kid. I got to.
Oh man, you got to keep him.
Yes,
you
I
gotta
know.
put the contract on the table. I'm going to tell you.
If anyone,
yes, exactly. Whatever his name.
If anyone at 160 or 154 wants to get paid in New England, by the way, I got an Italian. He's really mean.
This kid.
He can punch.
This kid. I never heard of him. I never seen him. I was in the dressing room.
Yeah.
I know a couple of the guys that were around him. You don't know much, but when he came out, he had a crowd of people.
Yeah.
But man, was he a monster.
So speaking of Team Combat League, last year he was the MVP. He was 11-1.
Really?
Yeah. So he won out. He's really. He's
God.
hard to match.
That's a future champion.
He's good. Yeah.
You gotta sign him.
And he's got that little. I mean, he's truly Italian interpreter, whole deal, like North End angle and everything.
Yes.
But
keep him, and I would say keep him.
Bulger was wildly impressive too.
Bulger.
He's a big puncher.
Which one? What weight is that?
He's 54.
54. I'm trying to remember the name. Bulger. I know
Mike Bulger. He's
who did he fight?
He fought the kid Brewer from Missouri.
That one too.
I know. That was the other one. But again, it's guys. Some of these guys are harder to match, right? So we're back in August.
Yeah.
If we could set something up maybe for August formally,
okay,
for after the fact, I'd really appreciate it if you're back here. That'd be awesome.
I'm here.
And then we can flesh it out because the idea, and you can call me a liar because now it's on film.
Yeah.
Like I want to seriously.
Listen.
I want to have competitive fights. I want to have local guys. I'm going to pay people. I'm going to treat them right. And we're going to be at Royale at the proper venue.
Perfect. I love it. So tonight was a success, I'd say. Congratulations on your first pro fight.
Congratulations on your first. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay in the game, man. Any way I can.
Yes.
I'm doing the same thing with this podcasting thing. I started off as wanting to do just my hometown guys and boost them up.
Yep.
Something that never really kind of happened with me.
Yeah.
But then I just noticed people they're like, oh my God, we love what you're doing.
Yeah, the voice of New England
the voice
boxing.
of New England.
That's it.
Like,
yeah.
Hey, who's better than Josh Beeman?
Well, even when you were like, hey, can I grab some? I was like, I know who you are, dude. SteaminBeeman. I was like,
that made my night.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's great to be recognized like that. And, on the outside of the ring.
Of
you
course.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there is life after boxing. All my life I was always like, it's just boxing. And I never had a plan B.
Sure.
But hey, this is my plan B.
Yeah.
And
You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Now, moving, just switching subjects just a little bit. Do you feel like you may be in a political or maybe a kind of a business competitiveness with all the other promoters that are out here? in New
No.
England?
You know
No?
who's unbelievable? Jimmy Birchfield. Dude, Jimmy Birchfield
Since
is...
the 80s, 90s?
But here's the thing with Birchfield. Birchfield could look at a guy like me and my brother and just not pick up his phone. He's the guy. He texted me last night. He texted me today. Oh, so sorry I couldn't be there. God bless you. He has a wedding. If I could do, I'm so sorry I couldn't be more helpful.
Yeah.
And then today, you know what? It's funny. So in the crowd today, I saw Mike Reyes. I saw Chris Jacobs. Rich Cappiello's there.
Yeah.
So now I got and then Jim Perella, I love. I get along famously. He's doing a great thing with Vertex. So honestly, like a lot of these promoters I get along well with.
Yeah.
Some of them I don't.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, that's how personalities work.
Yeah.
So I could see the people that I didn't work with as a coach and manager.
Yeah.
I probably won't work with them as a promoter.
Yeah.
And realistically, I would imagine they'll probably not work with me. And guess what? That's awesome. I'm fine with that because I feel like we have a good thing going. And when you got guys like Birchfield and Perella, and even like Reyes was reaching out, he was trying to get guys for Molina and stuff. As long as people are good to me, I'm good to them. And if you look, let's look at Boston in a microcosm, right?
Okay.
We have Vertex puts on shows in Boston. They haven't put on a show since TCL took off, right?
Yeah.
And then we have,
Grealish.
What?
Grealish boxing.
Yeah.
Put on shows.
No. Martin hasn't put on a show. But first of all, I love Martin. That's my dude.
Okay.
But Martin's not coming to put on shows.
Okay.
Think about in Boston proper.
Okay.
We have Vertex and we have nobody. Good news.
That's right. Nolan brothers, you have.
And I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Like every time I write it, like, and again, it's hard to say, but like, there's organizations called Boston Boxing Promotions that don't put on shows in Boston, right? So it's like we put on shows in like Melrose, but it's not in Boston.
Yeah,
Like, we're putting on shows
in Boston
because that's where the fuck we want to be.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I don't know how much you've edited out for swearing, but
No,
all right.
that's
So
fine.
the reality
Be
is
who
like,
you
all
are.
right. I mean, I'm trying to edit as best I can, but the
Sure.
reality is like, Boston needs promotion. I'll tell you, you know who took care of us wildly, like amazing, was Murphy's when they were around.
Okay.
And they haven't been around since post-COVID, you know, they were awesome. But Boston doesn't have a promotion.
Yeah.
They flat out don't.
Right.
Birchfield has every casino the guy owns, you know, and he should, and he's awesome. Guys like Granite Chin are all around Boston.
Oh, that's what I meant by Grealish, by the way.
Oh, sorry,
Granite
that's what.
Chin,
No, that's what it is. Yeah. He's doing everything around
Yeah.
Boston.
Yeah.
It looks like Boston Boxing does things around Boston.
Yeah, but
Rivera
not-
does things in Springfield and stuff. It looks like Reyes does stuff in Springfield and New Hampshire. Show me people that are putting on shows in Boston. The answer is nobody.
Many. And
No.
that's pretty clever, man. That you
Nobody's putting on Boston.
capitalizing on that.
Correct.
And now's the time. And I think you're gonna do very well. So back to the boxing scene.
Yes.
What does a fighter have to do? Like, let's say they don't have a manager or a promoter or an advisor to get on a show.
First thing they need to do is get a manager or advisor. Take care of yourselves. Seriously. Make
Call
sure.
me.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a good
At
advisor.
least make sure you're well protected.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll say is, so far I haven't entertained any exclusives. So if you're a fighter, don't get tied up in exclusives. But that's another story for another day. But anyways, reach out to me. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. Honestly, that's the best way to do it. If you're willing to fight, take on fights that are competitive. If you like money, good news, I'll pay you accordingly. And if you want to fight on venues that are fitting for a pro boxer, then you come to the right place.
I feel like I want to stop putting my running shoes on and I want to get back.
I mean, that's
man.
the reality.
Shit.
But the thing is, anyone could say anything. I have to show you. I feel like today was a great proof of concept for a first show.
Yeah.
And August is going to blow this one out of the water. And I do mean that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, definitely. Because from my perspective, everyone seems like they love you, and your brother. I mean, you're making friends.
I feel like
you're
we're decent
networking.
guys, if we're
You
being
guys are
honest.
nice guys.
Yeah.
You seem like so far. I mean, you recognize me, and
course.
you gave me a great welcome. And so,
Yeah.
even before you knew who I was,
Sure.
you were shaking my hand and just congratulating me, welcoming me, all of that. So, I think I can co-sign for him. He's a nice guy. Him and his brother. Because from what I'm used to
Yeah.
is, like you said, that power thing.
Yeah,
Where the
that's
promoter's
not-
like, I'm sitting way up
Yeah.
here.
And
Using
and
all-
every time the fighters tonight kept saying thank you, it's like
Yeah.
I didn't fight
Yeah.
tonight, man. Thank
Yeah.
you. You
Yeah.
know, and those guys, no one laid down. Even the kids that got blown up today, no
That's
one laid
right.
down.
That's
That
right.
kid Cangalosi fought, the Argentinian kid.
Oh,
He
no.
got up 3 times, and even I was
Brazil.
like, man,
He's from Brazil.
yeah.
Yeah.
He got the first time he
Yeah.
went down. I was like, you already got
Yeah.
paid.
Yeah.
You got paid.
Yeah,
you know,
stay
you
down,
got
bro.
3 more times. You know, so
And he did.
So he
He
did.
did.
So
He did.
no, but anyone, if you're not signed, if you wanna fight, and if you're looking for a fair shake, I can't say anything, but we'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. So, okay, maybe you can be biased, maybe you can't.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you in hot water. You don't have to answer this
Hit me,
question if you
I'll
don't
be
want
honest, I don't care.
Who's your favorite fighter tonight?
Tonight, oh, that is a tough one. All right, so a few. So I'm gonna eliminate. I have one guy.
Let's do 2 then. Let's do 2.
I'm gonna eliminate my guy. Harold Roy is my guy. I'm gonna eliminate him because he's
Okay.
my guy. That's unfair.
All right.
2 guys that stand out. Oh, that is hard. So
That's some great talent.
yeah, there was some great talent. All right, I'm gonna
Was
give you.
excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Why you think about that? Was
Yeah.
this televised? Or in
No,
any
so
way?
all right, so the way we
Streamed?
did it, so for this one, it was recorded and put on the Jumbotron, and it's going to be in perpetuity on YouTube.
Okay.
August 23rd will be streamed.
Okay.
August 23rd will be streamed. The reason 23rd will be streamed, it looks like we're going to have some international talent, not international in the sense that they beat 4 guys in Colombia and they're kind of smoked here. International in the sense it looks like we have some Irish and Italian talent that looks really good.
Yeah.
So I think we'll get some probably Dubliners watching it overnight. So that's why we're going to stream it.
Perfect.
Damn it, give me 2. I'm gonna pick 2, and now I'm gonna piss off people. But I'm
Yeah,
gonna pick
well,
2.
that's why I said you don't have to answer
So
it.
I'm gonna go with Troy Anderson. I liked. No, I'm gonna skip this. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick two guys that lost tonight. I'm gonna pick Stephen Davis. Stephen Davis is 1-2 going into the fight. He takes a 6-rounder against a 9-1 Troy Anderson, who's a stud. I've known Troy from the amateurs. In fact, my first amateur card ever, Troy was on it.
Okay.
Troy's a slick lefty. Troy's the truth. He can box.
Yeah.
Won, like open Golden Gloves a million times.
Yep.
So Stephen Davis at 1-2 takes the fight. Ask him how we took care of him personally, financially. We took care of him.
Good,
because
good
he
man.
deserved it.
Yeah.
And he fought his ass off, and he looked the part.
Yes.
He was awesome.
Yes.
So I'm picking Stephen Davis.
Steve Davis.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
100%. And then another one I'll go with. I'm gonna go with maybe the Andrade kid. Then I'm gonna pick another kid that came up on the short side. Christian Andrade fought Josh Alvarado.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they
Yeah.
were former gym mates, and again, it's
Yes.
just an easy fight to pick Josh Alvarado because he's a stud. But I want to pick guys that another guy that was 1-2 going into the fight, right?
Yeah.
A guy that you can. If not any other promotion, I don't want to paint with a broad stroke, but other promotions would cherry pick that kid and give him to a 5-0 kid to get smashed.
Yeah.
He takes on a 1-1 kid that he actually has, there's some contention there. And again, he gives a hell of an account of himself. He wasn't even thrilled with the decision by the end of it. You know what I mean? It was that tough of a fight.
Right.
So I'll go with those 2. But if you look at it again, just in a vacuum, there wasn't a lot of parity there. There was a lot of fights that you could have gone either way. But those 2 guys in defeat, I was impressed with. I'll go with those 2.
Yeah.
That's what I'll choose.
Now, what do you think about the commission and the judging as far as being fair and or not? Do you think there's anything
So
there?
here's what I'll say. So
As a
2
promoter
commissioners
and
need shouting out immediately: Guy Licciardi and Ben Donovan.
Guy Licciardi.
Guy Licciardi is awesome.
Yeah.
But Ben Donovan.
Yeah.
All right. Do you know Ben?
I know Ben. I
Okay.
met him tonight. Absolutely.
So
Good guy.
Ben picks up his phone constantly. So when you're promoting, right, the stuff people don't see is like you need specific insurance. If you don't have the exact right insurance, you're screwed. Also, when I'm putting on fights, right, you fought pro a million times, right? So you need your blood within a year, but it needs to be certain antigens or antibodies. But then I go, okay, hey, do you have your all your medicals? And someone gives me 14 pages of blood work, and they don't have an MRI. And I go, whoa! So I got to call Ben and scrambling. He's the guy, right? Spectacular.
Yeah.
On the higher end of the committee, right? These are 2 guys, Chris Rogers and Oded Carmi, I believe, Oded Carmi and Chris Rogers. Those are like 2 guys that when I'm putting in fights, they actually turn down bouts, right? Now, exactly. So this is going to sound like a kiss-ass move. It's not, right? it's frustrating when you submit bouts and you look at other fight cards and you go, what the hell? All these guys are putting on squash matches,
Sure.
and I can't get. And then I told him tonight, I go, hey, I'm not BSing you. I go, I appreciate what you're doing, because I don't want to see that anymore.
Right.
You know, I don't want to. And I said, and they kind of laughed like, sure, but I'm like, no, I'm telling you, because and I'm gonna make your job easier, because in August I'm not gonna fly in every guy from Colombia and Argentina and whatever, because I'm gonna put on. I'm going to pay people to fight each other because they have to. That's what you have to do. You have to pay them, otherwise they're not going to fight. And I'm going to put on competitive bouts. So, but as long as they call it consistently, and I think they do, and especially more so, hopefully they weed out the real obvious. Look, if you're a debut and you fight a guy that's 0-3 or whatever, fine. If you have 2 fights, 3 fights, but some of these guys, at some point, you got to fight somebody with a pulse. You know what I mean? Really, you know what I mean? And that's kind of really. And then I submit stuff to them, and they answer in legalese, right? And they're like, due to these certain, but I know what they're saying. They're like, what do you know? I'm not approving this. And I go, you're right. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? So.
But it's not your intent, though.
No,
is what you're saying.
No,
it's not your intent.
No, and I told him because you have to do justification letters. So I say, okay, dear board, I have this guy. You know, the Italian's a good example. So I had the Italian, and I had this Raheem Johnson kid. Now Johnson had fought Fran Hogan, James Perella, Joe Bush, like real good guys, right? But they all knocked him out, right? So the board comes back and they go, we're not approving it. And I said, he fought all them, right? And they go, and what happened? I go, all right, that's a great point, you know? So I had to pivot from there, right? So it's a learning experience from that. And so the commission has been really easy to work with. And I think having gone to, like, when we go to, like, we fought, and again, corner-wise, like in Maine and like Florida, that we get our cornerman's license, and we basically like, oh, we're in a corner, like, good news, you got the job, kid, you know, and it's like, you just sign a letter and all of a sudden you're a coach, you know, that's a crazy thing, dude.
Yeah, listen,
that's crazy.
I've been arguing and debating this for many years myself amongst, you know, people saying that boxing, anyone can just jump into boxing and like, no, it shouldn't be that way.
No, it shouldn't be that way.
Need credentials,
and we've said
resumes.
that the USA boxing, it's no fault of their own. I don't know how they're going to do it, but and my brother and I do the Haymakers Row commentary, right?
Yeah.
And so when we do that, you see guys, you know, Mickey Ward's in a corner, right?
Okay.
So Irish, and then in the other corner, you'll have some person does cardio boxing. And I'm like, that's like stolen valor. Like, and that's gonna help people get hurt. And it's the fact that you can do that at the pro level to a degree is terrifying.
No, not to a degree. You can do it.
And that's you know.
I mean,
and Mass is a lot better than almost every other commission, really.
Yeah. I fought in Mass quite a few times. They were always great to me. They were always fair, and that's why I'm on the commission board now. You know. Maybe I'll be on a Rhode Island board, but Rhode Island's really strict too.
Yeah, I've never done Rhode Island, but I can imagine.
They're strict.
I mean, Mohegan's insane. You know what I mean? So
very strict.
There's a lot of like good commissions too.
At Philadelphia, I gotta say they're very strict too.
They do,
they're on point. When I fought in Philly, like at first I didn't like it because you gotta weigh in, and then you fight the same day. It's like the
same day weigh-ins.
The same day weigh in.
Really?
11 in the morning.
That's actually probably healthier.
It is. That's the point I'm getting to.
Is because you're not dehydrated.
Right.
And, sure.
And but you're not blowing up 20 pounds and fighting a guy like you. Who is this guy?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Some of those guys can rehydrate again at 20 pounds.
I fought Rashidi Ellis here.
Sure.
Right. And I remember it was his first pro fight. It was like my, 8th fight, 7th, 8th fight, 10th fight. At the weigh-in, I'm looking at him, and I remember this kid as a kid, 11, 12 years old, watching him come up. So they call me kind of last minute. I'm not really training, and I'm like, I can fight. The kid is amateur, right? And then I look at him at the weigh-in, and I'm like, oh man, he's my size. I'm only, at the time, 142, 3 pounds, right, walking around.
Sure.
And I look at him like, he's skinny. He's, I'm gonna have no problem with this kid. And the night of the fight, he walks in the ring, and I'm like, who is this guy?
His back is this big. He fell down.
Who's the guy that I saw yesterday?
Sure.
So shout out to Rashidi Ellis, man.
But
We'll shorten this up because I know it's getting late. Just a couple more questions.
Sure.
So where do you see yourself in the future? Is there a 5-year plan? Is there a 10-year plan, or
I
a
think
1-year plan?
Yeah. So the idea is to establish ourselves in Boston, stay busy. So we're thinking every 2 to 3 months in Boston for the next year or two. I don't want to expand beyond Boston, if we're being honest.
Okay.
I am a school teacher by day, and so is my brother. So,
Welcome. What school do you teach at?
Cameron Middle School for 21 years now.
Cameron Middle School. Shout out to you guys.
And my brother's in Needham for the past 20 years or something like that. So I literally, I'm at school all day. As soon as school ends, I go to the gym all night, and then I'm taking phone calls for promotion.
That's incredible.
So I think really, if we're talking long-term goals, it's not necessarily expanding the promotion. I think I'm planning on stepping back to teaching. It's really what it is. So I really want to.
You're just gonna stick with the boxing, and you
the
want to
thing
blow
is,
that
like
up.
the way I describe it is, when I go to bed every night, when I wake up every morning, the one thing I do think about is boxing and some facet of boxing. So, and I really am committed to it, and I think I do have, even like, I have a podcast too that I like to get you on, if we're being honest.
I love it.
Toe-to-toe fight show. So it's like we do a pod every Sunday. We do the Haymakers broadcast. I'm doing the promotion. I do, coaching with the gym. So everything, I really want to devote my life to boxing, because at the end of the day, that's, I think, my legacy,
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Seems like boxing is your lifestyle, like everyone else. Except you are on the more of the business side, promoting side, et cetera, et cetera. So, what is your fantasy? I should say, like, what is your dream? You're saying your dream.
Yeah.
Like, what is the dream?
The
when you wake up?
dream.
That you wake up and you look back and you say, "Wow, that dream, man! I gotta make that happen."
So the way I always describe it is that if I, without boxing, I'd be at my funeral. They'd say he was a great dad and a school teacher.
Oh, that's awesome.
But you know what? They'd say that about a lot of people.
Sure.
As just even going through today, even when you said, like, I heard a lot about these guys. Like, you're someone in the sport.
Sure.
Like, you did stuff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you're someone in the sport. To say, like, I knew the Nolans, like, I heard about you. Like,
right.
To me, that means something.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I see Ray Oliveira tonight, and he shakes my hand, he goes, "You guys are doing great things." I'm like, fucking Ray Oliveira. You know what I mean? Like, so that's my thing, is that, like, 20 years from now, when someone says, "Oh, I think that's Mat Nolan, the promoter," I say, hey, I can tell the next kid, don't worry, if your main event drops out, you'll do great, kid, And when Jimmy Birchfield's sending me text messages, wishing me good luck, saying I wish I could be there, hopefully I can do that for the next kid.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. Last thing. Maybe a little off the subject of boxing. Fantasy fights.
Sure. In New England?
I'm gonna ask you 2 questions.
Hit me.
Fantasy fight, or not? I don't want to say fantasy, because I think you could be the guy to make it happen.
Yeah.
Who would you want to see in New England fight?
Okay.
What's the fight? What's the main fight?
So,
like a big fight, a 12-round fight or a 10-round fight. Big names.
Yeah, big names. So I gotta be careful, because I don't want to say anyone's sign.
Sure.
That's the biggest
we're
thing.
not gonna.
So there's a couple big names that are. All right. I don't know if I should say them, because they're so. I'll tell you this one. So there's a wild. I don't get into social media stuff, but like when other people get yell at each other on social media. This is we're talking fantasy, right? So this is fantasy.
Fantasy.
There's two guys that don't like each other. That are weight classes way apart.
Yep.
And one's signed, one's unsigned, and I don't think they'll ever meet.
Really?
They can't meet. They're way too far apart. But in my twisted mind, and they kind of pretend like they will. I would love if they would.
Okay.
Jonathan DePina and Anthony Hines.
Okay.
Don't. Yeah, right? Oh, she goes, oh, geez. I think DePina's like 135, Anthony's like 160. But they go back and forth online. They're like 154. I can make 150. If that fight ever happened.
Are they just talking, you think? Are they the right size, maybe?
They're not even close to the same size, but they're two Dorchester kids that don't like each other, that would sell Battle Royale would explode.
Yeah.
I would buy tickets to it. Whenever
Yeah,
I look at
nice.
these fights, I know they would. But if Anthony were 135 or Depina were 160, they'd fight now. And again, I'm not trying to stir the pot. Those guys know where they stand, and I love both those guys. I think Jonathan signed a granted chance here, so I don't have a shot at it anyways. But you know what I'm saying? That was just
a fantasy.
I just like the true old school. You know, they chirp each other, and they both guys can fight. You know what I mean? So who wouldn't want to see stuff like that? You know what I mean? So other guys, like I would like to see. There's so many guys at 54, you know, in that, like, there's Iannuccelli, there's Bulger, there's I'm trying to think, there's Vieira, there's Bernard's coming down to 160 now. You have Hines at 160. Travis Gambardella is a guy that I always kind of romance over, although I don't think he'll get under 65 anymore. But it's 5 or 6 names right there, and of those 5 or 6, none of them are signed. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Guys,
I'm just saying. And by the way, like, all those guys are guys that when they fight, whether it's for me or not, I buy tickets to watch them fight. I'm fans of those guys.
You're still a fan no matter what.
They're awesome, you know. Kyle Kusik's another one. Kyle Kusik's like 154, 160, and he throws bombs. He's like 5-3. So any one of those guys, if they want to fight each other, I'll pay them because I want to see them fight. Seriously.
You hear it, guys.
I want to see those guys fight other people, you know?
So. This is not scripted. This is just
that's
raw.
just off the top of my head. 54, 60 is just really exciting as far as unsigned people.
What about the little guys? There's no like 130 pounders?
There's a lot of little guys. There's 35. There's Molina. There's Carlos Gonzalez kid. There's Depina. There's
Irving Gonzalez or something.
But I think he might be CES. Right? So that's
well,
hard. Kevin Walsh, are you kidding me?
Kevin
The
Walsh.
best. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of excitement there. So it's just a matter of, and again, I know where I am. I'm a small fish in the big lake right now.
For now.
Right? But like, if I would jump, I mean, Orta was signed with CES and Jimmy worked with me to get that fight done tonight, you know, and Orta had something come up, but if I can help out and I can co-promote with someone like a Birchfield, come on, that's a no-brainer. You know?
Birchfield, Jimmy,
Mr. B.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up. Any last words you want to say to anything or about anything or anybody?
No, it's just a matter of like, I guess it's twofold. Number one, thank you for the time, and thank you to the boxing fans that pay my bills.
Sure.
And then more than anything is I don't plan on going anywhere, if we're being honest. And that might sound brash or egotistical, but I plan on putting on good shows in Boston that are competitive and taking care of the people that took care of me.
Sure, man. Wow, this is incredible. I didn't expect to chat this long, and I appreciate your time. Likewise, I learned a lot about you and your mind and your spirit and your whole energy is 100% in my opinion.
Appreciate it.
Very kind, gentleman guy. Very real, as you can see.
Trying.
I think you're doing it.
Thank you.
You're doing it, man. You got a twin brother. That's incredible.
Who's calling me right now?
That's
sure.
amazing.
He wants a Grubhub.
So, where can anyone find you online? Do you have a social media?
Yeah, Nolan Bros Boxing at on IG and Facebook.
So
but Nolan Bros Boxing.
NOLANBROS.
Yep, boxing at IG. Yeah, that's the way to go. Yeah.
Okay, there we have it, folks.
Oh man, thank you.
One last thing before we go. One more thing.
Hit me.
I promise. What motivational tip would you give anybody in any aspect of life right now that was you 15 years ago, 20, 30 years ago?
Easiest question of all time. So I'm a school teacher, right? And as a school teacher, I work with other school teachers, and everyone cries poor, right? I'm not poor, right? Why? Because I work. So no one cares. Work harder. No, and I mean that. That's like one thing that I will not like. And everyone says, I own one suit, and you're looking at it, right?
It's a nice suit too.
Yeah, it looks all right. I got lucky.
I can never tell.
I went on 2 vacations in the past 25 years. You know what I mean? So.
Save your money.
So no, it's just work hard. That's it.
Work
no,
hard.
Really, seriously. And any excuse, no matter how valid, is still an excuse.
Yeah. All right. Mat Nolan, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Nolan
Appreciate
Brothers
it,
Boxing. Man, what a great time.
Appreciate
Great
it, my
talking
man.
with you,
Thank
man.
so
God
much.
bless you
God
and your
bless
family.
you.
Keep
Thank
doing
you.
what you're doing.
Appreciate
Anything
it.
I can do to support it, I'm always here.
Thank you, my man.
All right,
Appreciate
man.
it.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Blind girl.